Professor Hanson, great to have you again.
Thank you.
A lot of things happening, and obviously, first of all, the FBI raid of President Trump's home in Florida. So, how do you see the whole thing?
We've never had it happen before. We've never had the FBI or any investigatory or law enforcement agent go into the home of a president. But we have had disagreements over the nature of presidential papers. So Barack Obama, for example, spent about $35 million of state money trying to avoid turning over many of his papers under Freedom of Information Act requests. Or in 2005, George Bush just issued an executive order saying that he was not going to turn over certain papers. And he said the same thing in 2001 about his father's papers that were going to be released. And so it's very common for a president to declare certain things classified and then not classified. But we've never, and those are always adjudicated the way they had been, because there had been archivists at the presidential home in June that were discussing whether the things they were looking at should be released or not. But we've never just arbitrarily had a arrest, basically a search warrant. And so this is new. And unfortunately, it's consistent with a pattern. And the pattern is twofold. On the one hand, it's asymmetrical. By that, I mean, if you're Hillary Clinton and you have thousands of emails, 100 of which we know were classified and were not turned over under subpoena, and the devices under which they appeared, i.e. pads, phones, and computers were deliberately destroyed, that's a felony. And yet no one did anything. Or if you have a subpoena asking for someone to appear before a congressional committee, an official like Eric Holder, he just simply said in 2017, I'm not going to go. And he didn't turn over documents, and yet nothing happened to him. In the case of Peter Navarro or other people, they put him in chains, Peter Navarro. So there's an asymmetry, and that's scary. And it's from the left. The left has now taken control of the FBI. And then the other danger is the FBI and the DOJ, but mostly the FBI are acting as sort of rogue Stasi-like investigatory police that are in service to a particular ideology. So the FBI goes after Ashley Biden's diary. She left it in an apartment. It had lurid accounts of taking showers with her father, President of the United States. It ended up in various hands. Somebody reportedly gave it to James O'Keefe. The FBI shows up on his doorstep, marches him out in the middle of the morning, pre-dawn hours in his underwear. Or Roger Stone is supposedly guilty of this, or they want to talk to him and Trump out. They show up with a SWAT team to arrest a 67-year-old, and with CNN accompanying the FBI. And so I could go on, but there's a sense that it is acting, and this a rogue investigatory, it alters federal warrants. We had Kevin Kleinsmith, an FBI lawyer, plead guilty to altering a FISA document. We knew that his overseers, James Comey and Andrew McCabe, allowed that to go on. They approved that warrant. I don't know whether they knew it was forged or not, but they did do that. We know that they put informants. We had a Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times reporter say that there were, he said, numerous FBI informants on January 6th. He told us that. We know that FBI informants were involved in planning the kidnapping of the Michigan governor to blame on supposedly far-right actors. We know that the FBI hired Christopher Steele, a known liar, and who gave them, they hired Christopher Steele at the same time he was being hired by Hillary Clinton's campaign through the paywalls of Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, and the DNC. And he was collecting dirt. Much of it was filtered by the Russian government, apparently. And it was completely a lie. The FBI then used that dossier to get warrants to go check on individual American citizens like Carter Page. And so when you hear about all this, it's just unthinkable. And then you look to the directors of the FBI for answers. So we just had Christopher Wray. He didn't answer any question. He wouldn't even say that the Russian collusion hoax was a hoax. And then he cut short his testimony. He was asked about Hunter Biden's laptop. Why did they suppress all information about that laptop and leak that it was Russian disinformation when they knew it was not on the eve of the election? Just in the manner that they knew Hillary Clinton's emails violated federal law, and yet they did not charge her with anything on the eve of an election. And so when he was asked these things, he just said, I'm not going to talk about it. And then he said, I got to go. I have an appointment. And he took his government luxury jet and flew to his cabin in the Adirondacks. His predecessor was Andrew McCabe. He lied 4 times under oath. Admittedly, he admitted that to federal investigators. He signed off on the warrant that was forged by Kevin Kleinsmith. We know that his wife was running for an office in Virginia and a recipient of Clinton-related campaign funds while he was the chief investigator of Hillary Clinton's email. He took over. He was fired. He took over from fired James Comey. I don't need to get into him, but on 245 occasions, he either lied or said he didn't remember or he didn't know when he was asked things we knew that he knew about the Russian collusion hoax. Then he admitted that he went and talked to the president in a private confidential conversation. He went out, sat in his car, and used an FBI device to memorialize that. That was confidential, if not classified. And then he released it to the New York Times via a third party. He was fired. And then we're going back now we're back 20 years ago, Robert Mueller, who was the FBI director. We know that he ran the Mueller investigation. And we know that his own FBI lawyers, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, were conducting an illicit affair and were not disinterested, but prejudiced according to their own text. And he fired them, but he hid their firing, so he didn't announce it. And he staggered them so nobody would know there was a connection. And then under subpoena, their phone records were subpoenaed and they were mysteriously wiped clean. And then we know that what caused that investigation to appear and made his appointment was a Steele dossier and Fusion GPS's effort to disseminate that fraudulent dossier. Robert Mueller was asked that under oath. What do you know about the Steele dossier? What do you know about Fusion? Glenn Simpson, he said, I don't know anything. So here you have the FBI former director who is running an investigation based on a dossier and a private company that is probably illegally disseminated, and he denies he knows either one. So those were the last 4 FBI directors. So it seems to me that it's a very dangerous organization now, and it needs to be broken up. So if it's going to investigate foreign terrorism or domestic terrorism, or it's going to investigate counterfeiting, or it's going to investigate civil disobedience or fraud or tax problems, all of those agencies and those agents can be farmed out to the IRS, Homeland Security, DOD, but it cannot any longer remain in Washington with all of that power because it's become a rogue Stasi-like organization. Very dangerous.
The American people normally just wanted to trust FBI as a respected law enforcement agency. So,
Yes.
yeah, so what do you think, like why it become the way that you described, so political and
people in the Pentagon and the FBI and the CIA, they sense that the popular culture, not the number of people, not the majority of people, but the popular culture that they interact with. And what would that be? The New York Times, the Washington Post, National Public Radio, PBS, CBS, ABC, professional sports, Hollywood, professional entertainment, professors, law school professors, academia, the permanent bureaucracy, people who run Homeland Security. It's the top 20 people in the CIA, Wall Street, where the money is. When they retire and they want to become consultants, who are they going to work for? Are they going to work for Disney? Are they going to work for American Airlines? Are they going to work for Coca-Cola? Are they going to work for Facebook? All of that group of power and money are left-wing, and they understand that. And when they have a left-wing president, they understand that. And so they make the necessary adjustments. In the case of the FBI, whether it's not going after Hillary's emails, but storming the Trump residence or allowing her to destroy things, or they know that Hunter Laptop is a drug addict. They know that he hired foreign prostitutes. They know he did not pay income tax on millions of dollars. They know that he lied on a federal affidavit to buy a firearm, which he lost. All of that, they do not go after. They're going after, as we're speaking, the Trump children and tax records of years ago. So they understand that by doing this, they're going to be praised on television. If Andrew McCabe or James Comey is fired, they're going to get 250,000 plus to go on MSNBC or CNN as an analyst. If they want to have a book, they know that Simon and Schuster or Doubleday will pay them $1 million. If they want to have a job, they understand that a proper big corporation or media conglomerate will hire them. And that is what's happened. And then they politicize and warp their agency, and they get rid of people at the top who are conservative or disinterested or neutral. And you start seeing the McCabe's and the Christopher Wrays and all of people make the necessary adjustments. Very similar to what happens in China or what happened in Eastern Europe or what happened in the Soviet Union or Venezuela. Once these institutions are politicized, then average people, they make the necessary adjustments for their own survival, and they start to party the line, and they come up with all sorts of ideas to further that agenda. So, you know, if someone says, maybe we can get in good if we find Ashley Biden's diary. And then an agent will probably say, well, she left it in an apartment in Florida, and that person who found it must have given it. Let's go interview her. Well, that person gave it to someone else. Well, let's find that person. Well, then that other person gave, James O'Keefe, that right-wing journalist, may have got it. Well, let's go find out. Let's get a warrant. But let's not just get a warrant. Let's go at 4 a.m. and make a big splash, and we'll tip off the media, and we'll march him out in his underwear and embarrass him. And then we'll go through all of his other records and get his phones and all of his contacts. And then if we do all that, my gosh, the FBI will be praised in the New York Times. It'll be praised by the administration. Merrick Garland will this is how they act. And how did this happen? Partly it was, I think, the globalized amount of money and influence that certain areas of the economy enjoyed, media, social media, high tech. There were amounts of money that were just unimaginable 20 years ago. Partly, as the country became more conservative, its elites got angrier and angrier, and they decided they could not win elections, or they couldn't win on the issues, so they resorted to exercising influence through academia or television or radio or social media or Facebook. And then I think more immediately, Donald Trump scared them, because he said from the very beginning he was going to drain the swamp, or he was going to fire these people, or he was going to bring in people that were not experienced as they were. And they decided, left and right, Republican and Democrat, that they were going to get rid of him. So it was all of those things.